security camera at the Liberty gas station in Lovingston, Virginia, captures a 17-year-old girl stepping out of a white Nissan Maxima. August 3, 2013. 7:15 in the evening. Her name is Alexis Murphy. She walks to the pump, fills the tank. The footage is grainy but clear enough to see her movements. She looks relaxed, normal. Just another teenager stopping for gas on a Saturday night. But watch the edge of the frame. A camouflage Chevrolet Suburban pulls up nearby. The driver gets out, a man, 48 years old, heavily tattooed, his neck covered in ink that makes him easy to spot even on low-quality surveillance. His name is Randy Allen Taylor. The camera captures what happens next. Alexis finishes pumping gas. She walks toward the station entrance to pay. Randy Taylor reaches the door first. He holds it open for her. A polite gesture. Nothing unusual. Nothing that would make anyone watching feel alarmed. 7:23 in the evening. Both vehicles leave the parking lot, and here's where the camera captures something investigators would watch hundreds of times.
10 years ago today, the Nelson County teenager disappeared. Randy Taylor was convicted of kidnapping and murdering Alexis and sent to prison.
Alexis's white Nissan Maxima pulls out onto Route 29, heading south. Right behind her, Randy Taylor's camouflage Suburban follows. Not beside her, not ahead of her, behind her. She is leading, he is following, or maybe she is following him. The angle makes it hard to tell for certain, but both vehicles leave together, both heading in the same direction, south on Route 29. Alexis had told her family she was going to Lynchburg. That is south, 40 minutes away. She wanted to get her hair done before school started back up. The surveillance footage is the last confirmed sighting of Alexis Murphy alive. Security cameras at the movie theater parking lot capture the Nissan pulling in. Someone gets out, walks away, but the footage is too poor to identify who it is. The resolution fails. The lighting is wrong. The person becomes a blur, a ghost. The cameras show the car arriving. They do not show Alexis. What the cameras captured raises a simple question. Where is Alexis Murphy? Before we continue, don't forget to like this video. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss any coverage in this channel. Alexis Murphy was 17 years old. She lived in Shipman, a small community in Nelson County, Virginia, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where families look out for each other. Alexis was weeks away from starting her senior year at Nelson County High School, her final year, the year she had been working toward. She played volleyball. Her teammates described her as energetic, full of life, the kind of person who brought energy into every room she entered. Her family was everything to her. She was close with her mother, her father, her aunts. She was not the type of teenager who disappeared without warning. She respected her curfew. She communicated. If she was going to be late, she called ahead. If plans changed, her family knew about it. That was just who Alexis was. Responsible, trustworthy, loved. On the morning of August 3, 2013, Alexis posted on Twitter 2 words, "Berg bound." It meant she was heading to Lynchburg, a shopping trip. She wanted to get her hair done before school started back up. Something fun, something normal, something thousands of teenagers do every weekend. She asked her father if she could borrow his car, a white 2003 Nissan Maxima. He said yes. She promised to take care of it, promised to be home by curfew. Midnight. That was the rule. Midnight was when Alexis needed to be home. She left that afternoon excited, looking forward to the trip, looking forward to her senior year, looking forward to everything that was ahead of her. But midnight came and went. No Alexis, no phone call, no text message, no explanation. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her family tried calling again. And again, nothing. By Sunday morning, August 4th, they knew something was terribly wrong. This was not like Alexis. She would never ignore her family. She would never miss curfew without a word. Her mother, Laura Murphy, called the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. Alexis Murphy was officially reported missing, and what started as a normal Saturday shopping trip had turned into every parent's worst nightmare.
Completely out of character for her. If she was going to miss her curfew or be late for her curfew, she would have called and said, "I'm going to be late."
Sunday, August 4th, 2013. The Nelson County Sheriff's Office launched a missing person investigation the moment Alexis's family reported her gone. This was not treated as a runaway case. Everyone who knew Alexis understood immediately that something was wrong. By Monday morning, the search had grown massive. The FBI joined. Virginia State Police sent teams. Volunteers from the community showed up ready to help. Helicopters flew over Nelson County. Search dogs combed through wooded areas. Officers knocked on doors asking if anyone had seen her. More than 50 officers and analysts worked the case. They searched by land and by air. They followed every tip, every lead, every possibility. Then on Tuesday, August 6th, 3 days after Alexis disappeared, investigators received a call. Her father's white Nissan Maxima had been found. It was sitting in the parking lot of Carmike Cinemas in Charlottesville, Virginia. And here's the detail that made no sense. Charlottesville is 45 minutes northeast of Lovingston. Alexis had been heading to Lynchburg. That is south. 40 minutes in the opposite direction. Someone had driven that car away from where Alexis was supposed to be going. Someone had deliberately taken it northeast instead of south. Investigators rushed to the scene. They secured the vehicle. They checked for signs of struggle, blood, fingerprints, anything that could tell them what happened. The car itself revealed nothing obvious. But there was a security camera pointed at the parking lot. Investigators pulled the footage. They watched it frame by frame. The Nissan pulls into the lot. It parks. A figure gets out, walks away from the vehicle, disappears off camera. But the resolution is terrible. The angle is wrong. The lighting makes it impossible to see clearly. Investigators tried every enhancement technique available. They sent the footage to forensic specialists. They used every tool in the playbook. Nothing worked. The person remained unidentifiable, a shadow, a blur. Meanwhile, the FBI was working another angle. They tracked Alexis's cell phone. The last ping came at approximately 7:40 in the evening on August 3rd, 17 minutes after she left the Liberty gas station. The signal came from near Cannery Loop Road, just north of Lovingston. Then the phone went dead. No more pings, no more signal. Investigators triangulated the location. They narrowed it down to a specific area, a piece of property along Route 29. It looked abandoned, run down, forgotten. On that property sat a camper van, old, rusted, the kind of place someone might live if they wanted to stay off the grid. Someone did live there. And when investigators approached that camper and knocked on the door, they met the man who would soon become the prime suspect in Alexis Murphy's disappearance. His name was Randy Allen Taylor, the same man from the gas station surveillance footage. On Monday, August 5th, investigators returned to the Liberty gas station. They interviewed the clerk who had been working the evening Alexis disappeared. The clerk remembered something important: a man, heavily tattooed, driving a camouflage Chevrolet Suburban. He had been at the station around the same time as Alexis. The clerk described him in detail: the tattoos on his neck, the older model SUV, the way he seemed to be watching. Investigators pulled the surveillance footage again. They studied every frame. There he was, the man the clerk described, holding the door open for Alexis. Standing near his camouflage Suburban, they ran the vehicle description. They cross-referenced it with residents in the area where Alexis's phone last pinged. One name came back: Randy Allen Taylor, 48 years old, living in a camper van on an abandoned property near Cannery Loop Road, the same area where Alexis's phone went dead. Investigators drove to the property. They knocked on the camper door. Randy Taylor answered. He matched the description perfectly: the tattoos, the build, everything. Lead investigator Billy Mays asked him a direct question: "Do you know Alexis Murphy?" Taylor's answer was immediate: no, he had never heard that name. He had no idea who she was.
The fact that he denied having any knowledge of Alexis Murphy, not by name, but even the photograph that we showed, he hadn't seen her when he clearly had held the door for her.
He had never seen her before in his life. But investigators had the surveillance footage. They showed him a photograph of Alexis. Taylor looked at it, shook his head, did not recognize her. Investigators knew he was lying. The footage clearly showed him holding the door for her, standing just feet away from her. There was no way he did not remember. They asked if they could search his camper. Taylor agreed. He signed a consent form. Inside that cramped, dirty space, investigators immediately noticed items that did not belong to a middle-aged man living alone: a small diamond stud earring, the kind used for piercings, a strand of long black hair, a torn fingernail. All of it was collected, bagged, sent to the FBI lab in Quantico for DNA analysis. The results came back in 36 hours. The earring belonged to Alexis Murphy. The hair belonged to Alexis Murphy. The fingernail belonged to Alexis Murphy. She had been inside that camper, despite Randy Taylor's claims that he had never met her. Confronted with the DNA evidence, Taylor's story changed. Suddenly, he remembered. Yes, he had met Alexis at the gas station. They chatted, hit it off. She followed him back to his camper for some beers and something stronger. Nothing bad happened, just two people hanging out. Then, according to Taylor, she left, but not alone. She left with another man, a black man with dreadlocks. Someone Taylor knew as Damian Bradley. That man must have taken her. That man must be responsible. Investigators moved fast. They tracked down Damian Bradley within hours. They interviewed him, asked where he was on August 3rd. Damian Bradley had never met Alexis Murphy. He had never been to Randy Taylor's camper, and he had an airtight alibi. He was in Alabama visiting his father, hundreds of miles away. Phone records confirmed it. Witnesses confirmed it. Randy Taylor was lying. Again. On August 9th, 2013, 6 days after Alexis disappeared, Randy Allen Taylor was arrested. He was charged with abduction with intent to defile. But investigators knew this was just the beginning. This case gets even more disturbing. Stay with me. With Randy Taylor under arrest, investigators returned to his camper, this time with a search warrant, this time ready to tear the place apart. They searched every corner, every surface, every possible hiding spot. Under the couch, wedged between the frame and the floor, they found something, a shirt rolled up tight, like someone had tried to make it disappear. Investigators unrolled it carefully. It was pale blue, with a distinctive pattern. They compared it to the gas station surveillance footage. It was the same shirt Randy Taylor had been wearing the night Alexis disappeared. But now it carried something else. Stains. Forensic analysis confirmed it. The stains were blood. Alexis Murphy's blood. And hidden inside that rolled-up shirt were hair extensions. The kind Alexis had been wearing when she vanished, press-on eyelashes, personal items that belonged to her. Randy Taylor had kept them, hidden them under his couch, wrapped in the same shirt he wore the night she disappeared. On August 14th, 11 days after Alexis went missing, investigators brought in cell phone detection dogs. These dogs are trained by the Department of Corrections to sniff out the glue used in cell phones. The dogs searched the area around the camper. 70 to 80 feet from the front door, they found it. Alexis's white Apple iPhone, broken, discarded in the bushes. But investigators found something else inside that camper, something that revealed the kind of person Randy Taylor really was. A scrapbook. From the outside, it looked harmless, just a personal collection. But when investigators opened it, they found something deeply disturbing. Dozens of images cut from adult magazines, explicit photographs, but every single face had been removed, cut away with scissors or a razor blade. In place of those faces, Randy Taylor had inserted photographs of real women, women he knew, women from his daily life. A co-worker's daughter appeared multiple times, her face stolen from family photos, placed onto bodies she had no connection to. Other women from the area, women he had seen at stores, at gas stations, women who had no idea they existed in his private fantasy world. Forensic psychologists would later testify about what this scrapbook meant. It indicated someone capable of escalating, someone who might eventually act on obsessive thoughts rather than keeping them confined to paper. Investigators dug deeper into Randy Taylor's background. He was not a stranger to the law. He was a convicted burglar, a convicted arsonist. He had a history of criminal behavior that stretched back years. On September 24, 2013, 51 days after Alexis disappeared, a grand jury indicted Randy Taylor on 2 felony charges. But prosecutors were not done. In January 2014, the charges were upgraded: first-degree murder, felony murder, abduction with intent to defile, and an unrelated grand larceny charge. Randy Taylor was no longer just facing abduction charges. He was facing life in prison for the murder of Alexis Murphy, even though her body had not been found. On May 1st, 2014, 10 months after Alexis Murphy disappeared, Randy Allen Taylor's trial began. Judge Michael Gamble presided over the case. He issued a gag order. Law enforcement officials, lawyers, and their employees were not allowed to speak publicly about the case. Jury selection took about 8 hours. Randy Taylor entered a plea, not guilty. His defense attorney, Michael Hallahan, presented a story. According to the defense, Alexis had come to the camper willingly. She arrived with Damian Bradley to buy marijuana. Then she left, with Bradley alive. The defense argued that investigators did not fully investigate this claim, that they focused only on Randy Taylor and ignored other possibilities. But the prosecution had evidence, mountains of it. The gas station cashier testified. She described seeing Randy Taylor and Alexis at the station that night. The bloody t-shirt was presented, the one found rolled up under the couch, the one Randy wore in the surveillance footage, the hair, the torn fingernail, the diamond earring stud, all found in his camper, all confirmed by FBI DNA analysis to belong to Alexis Murphy. The surveillance footage was played for the jury. It showed Randy holding the door for Alexis. It showed both vehicles leaving together. Prosecutors walked the jury through Randy Taylor's lies, how he first claimed he never met Alexis, then changed his story when confronted with DNA evidence, how he blamed Damian Bradley, a man with an airtight alibi hundreds of miles away. Before the trial, the defense had tried to suppress the statements and evidence found through search warrants. Judge Gamble denied the motion. The evidence would be heard. On May 8, 2014, after several hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Their verdict was unanimous. Guilty. First-degree murder in the commission of an abduction. Guilty. Abduction with intent to defile. Randy Allen Taylor had been convicted of murdering Alexis Murphy, even without her body, even without a confession. During the sentencing phase, Randy Taylor tried one last move. He told the court there was a third person involved, someone investigators had never identified. He said he would reveal where Alexis's body was located. He would give them the name of this other person. In exchange, he wanted his sentence reduced to 20 years. The Commonwealth of Virginia did not hesitate. The answer was no. On July 23, 2014, Randy Allen Taylor was sentenced. 2 life sentences. No possibility of parole. He would never walk free again. For Alexis's family, the verdict brought some measure of justice. The man who took their daughter would spend the rest of his life behind bars. But justice felt incomplete because Alexis was still missing, and Randy Taylor refused to say where she was. In October 2014, just months after Randy Taylor was convicted, another case made national headlines. Jesse Matthew Jr. was arrested in connection with the disappearance of Hannah Graham, an 18-year-old University of Virginia student. Hannah had vanished. In September 2014, her body was discovered 5 weeks later. Jesse Matthew was also linked to another case. Morgan Harrington, a 20-year-old Virginia Tech student, had disappeared in October 2009. Her remains were found months later. Both cases, both young women, both along the Route 29 corridor in central Virginia, the same area where Alexis Murphy disappeared. From his jail cell, Randy Taylor saw an opportunity. He requested that authorities perform a DNA test on Jesse Matthew. Taylor's defense attorney, Michael Hallahan, argued that Jesse Matthew matched the description Randy had given. A black man with dreadlocks, someone who could have been involved in Alexis's disappearance. The defense suggested that maybe Randy Taylor had been telling the truth all along. Maybe there was a third person. Maybe Jesse Matthew was responsible. Nelson County Commonwealth's attorney Anthony Martin stated publicly that there was nothing to tie the 2 cases together, but he agreed to run the tests anyway. The FBI compared Jesse Matthews' DNA profile to unknown DNA samples collected from Randy Taylor's camper. The results came back definitive, no match. Jesse Matthews' DNA was nowhere in that camper, nowhere in Randy Taylor's truck, nowhere connected to Alexis Murphy's case. Randy Taylor had been lying again. This time, he used a real serial killer to deflect blame from himself. He tried to create reasonable doubt by linking his case to someone else's crimes. It did not work. Jesse Matthew Jr. was eventually convicted of murdering both Hannah Graham and Morgan Harrington, but he had nothing to do with Alexis Murphy. That was all Randy Allen Taylor. Randy Taylor was behind bars, convicted, sentenced to life, but Alexis Murphy was still missing. The search continued. Year after year after year, volunteer groups combed through forests and fields across Nelson County. Cadaver dogs searched remote areas along Route 29. Helicopters, equipped with thermal imaging, flew grid patterns over thousands of acres. Tips came in regularly, anonymous calls from people who thought they saw something, who remembered something strange, who wanted to help bring closure to a grieving family. Every tip was investigated, every lead followed to its end. And every time, the result was the same. Nothing. In December 2014, Randy Taylor filed an appeal. He claimed he did not receive a fair trial. He argued that his attorney, Michael Hallahan, provided poor representation. The appeal was denied in May 2015. Taylor filed a second appeal with the Supreme Court of Virginia. That appeal was denied in February 2016. Randy Taylor had run out of legal options, but he still refused to say where Alexis was. Her family waited. They hoped. They grieved without the closure that comes from being able to lay a loved one to rest. Alexis's aunt, Trina Murphy, spoke publicly about the pain of not knowing, of wanting to bring Alexis home, of needing a place to visit, a place to say goodbye. Then, on December 3, 2020, 7 years and 4 months after Alexis disappeared, investigators received information. Human remains had been found on private property in Lovingston. The location was approximately 4 to 5 miles from the Liberty gas station, near Stagebridge Road off Route 29. Hidden in terrain that had been searched before but somehow missed. The remains were transported to the Central District Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Richmond. On February 5, 2021, the identification was confirmed. Alexis Tiara Murphy. She was finally coming home. The Nelson County Sheriff's Office did not announce the discovery publicly until February 17, 2021. They delayed the announcement to give Alexis's family time to grieve privately, time to make proper arrangements. Investigators have not publicly confirmed exactly how the remains were discovered. They have not revealed whether new technology made the difference or whether a tip led them to the location. According to reports, Randy Taylor eventually told investigators where Alexis was buried. No deal was offered. No sentence reduction. He simply gave up the information. The medical examiner's report, combined with statements attributed to Taylor, indicated the cause of death. Alexis Murphy was suffocated. After 7 years of searching, the family finally had answers. Alexis was no longer missing. But Randy Taylor's story does not begin with Alexis Murphy. 3 years earlier, in September 2010, another young woman disappeared. Her name was Samantha Clark. She was 19 years old. She lived in Orange County, Virginia. On the night she vanished, Samantha left her family home in the middle of the night. She took nothing with her, just the clothes she was wearing. She never came back. Her family reported her missing 2 days later. The investigation went cold quickly. No leads, no evidence, no clues about where she might have gone or what might have happened. But during the investigation into Alexis Murphy's disappearance, detectives discovered something disturbing. Randy Taylor knew Samantha Clark. They had met approximately 1 week before she disappeared. They were part of a group of friends who hung out together in the area. Phone records revealed something even more troubling. Randy Taylor called the Clark household 6 times on the day Samantha disappeared. 6 separate attempts to reach her. Authorities stated publicly that they were certain Randy Taylor was the last person to speak with Samantha Clark before she vanished. But no charges were ever filed. Without a body, without physical evidence, without witnesses, prosecutors could not build a case. Samantha Clark's disappearance remained unsolved. Recently, authorities announced a significant development. Samantha's case has been reclassified. It is no longer listed as a missing person investigation. It is now an active abduction and murder investigation. Samantha Clark is still missing today. Her family is still waiting, still hoping, still searching for answers. Randy Taylor has never been officially named as a suspect in her case, but the connections are impossible to ignore. This case offers important lessons that could save lives. Gas stations are vulnerable locations. Minimize your time outside your vehicle. Stay aware of who is nearby. Trust your instincts if something feels off. Alexis's family did not wait 24 to 48 hours to report her missing. They knew immediately that something was wrong. That quick response allowed investigators to act fast, to gather evidence while it was still fresh. If you are traveling alone, share your live location with trusted contacts. Let someone know where you're going and when you expect to arrive. Never follow unfamiliar vehicles to secondary locations. No matter how polite someone seems, no matter what they offer, surveillance technology was critical in this case. The gas station footage identified Randy Taylor within hours. It provided a timeline. It gave investigators a starting point. Phone tracking is powerful, but only if the device stays active. Predators know this. They disable phones to avoid detection. Physical contact leaves traces, DNA evidence. Hair, blood. Forensic science can connect victims to locations even when there are no witnesses. Predator behavior follows patterns, lies, changing stories. Fantasy escalation. Randy Taylor's scrapbook showed a mind that had been building toward violence for years. Persistence matters. It took 7 years to find Alexis. But her family got closure. The search never stopped. If this case affected you, please subscribe and share it to keep Alexis's memory alive and help prevent similar tragedies. And if you know anything about Samantha Clark's disappearance, contact the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. Samantha. Clark's family is still waiting, still hoping, still searching for answers that have eluded them for more than 13 years. Her case remains an active abduction and murder investigation. The truth, whatever it may be, is still out there waiting to be found. Rest in peace, Alexis Tiara Murphy.